and drive has made our country stronger. Did the USDA try to undermine those virtues in order to expand the food stamp rolls? Peter Boyer reports from Florida.
See, self-reliance has always been an integral part of our culture.
In the central Florida town of Muscote, Pastor Felix Ramirez preaches a message of self-reliance.
Listen to this. They might end up giving away their freedom for freebies.
You stress to them the importance of self-reliance, of counting on themselves, of not having a handout.
I want to remind them of who they were, who we are. Self-reliance and self-respect go together.
Which might explain why Pastor Ramirez is still angered by something he heard from the USDA a while back. Our story begins in 2008, ends a few years later, and provides a troubling glimpse into how a USDA, under both Republican and Democratic administrations, has come to see its mission as pushing food stamps on groups of people reluctant to take them. The Agriculture Department produced a series of Spanish-language radio spots. The USDA made them available to any radio station that wanted to play them.
The United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, and its Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, are proud to present the radio miniseries Happiness Park. Enjoy the show while you savor a delicious piece of fresh fruit. Let's begin.
Happiness Park is like any other soap opera. That is, one whose characters are obsessed with food stamps. Each of the 10 spots makes a separate point. Episode 1 tries to bust the myth that food stamps are welfare and only the unemployed can qualify.
Roberto and I just can't seem to make ends meet.
Meet Monica.
It's not that we don't love each other, but we always fighting over money.
She's talking to her friend, Claudia.
Did Roberto find a job?
Not yet, and that worries me, because with what I earn as a babysitter is just not enough.
Apply for SNAP.
SNAP? But isn't it this, like, welfare?
No, SNAP is a supplemental nutrition assistance program that helps you afford healthy food during difficult times. Just do it.
In episode 2, Monica indeed does it. By episode 3, she tries to convince a friend, Ramon, to sign up.
I don't think I qualify. I own my house, and I live with my daughter and grandson.
You might. SNAP is a program to help people. If you don't apply, you'll never know.
It's very highly offensive, and we can count on our own culture to make a success story.
In episode 4, Ramon does sign up for food stamps, and then urges another friend to do so as well. She is very reluctant. Her name is Diana.
I don't need help from anyone. My husband makes enough to take care of us.
Aye, girl. When are you going to learn?
This gentleman better not say that to any of my ladies in this church, because the ladies in this church will tell him off.
It turns out that Diana is the most stubborn denizen of Happiness Park, but they wear her down over the next few episodes. In episode 5, we learn her daughter, Suzette, is overweight. In episode 6, Suzette comes in last in a swimming race. Diana's friends keep up their full-court press.
It doesn't matter if your husband works full-time or if you own a car. I was approved and Roberto has a job.
Jess, I know. Snap, snap, snap. Suzette, put on your shoes. We're leaving.
Why are you angry?
Do it for your own health and for Suzette's.
It's appalling. It's insulting.
Christine Saltos and her husband Alfredo own and operate the Havana Delight restaurant in the central Florida town of Bartow. She recalls hearing Happiness Park episodes on the radio.
And when you hear this, and you recognize that it's aimed at...
Not the Hispanics.
What's your reaction?
My gut reaction is that they're calling us stupid.
Episode 7 is an eye-opener for the reluctant Diana. She goes shopping with Monica.
Look, it's your turn to pay. Wait, don't use food stamps in front of everybody.
There's no stamps. SNAP gives you a card.
Wow, it looks like a bank card.
Exactly, Diana. No one has to know. Apply. You could gain so much.
That's not why we came to America.
For you, my friend.
We take care of our own without any help, and you get ahead on your own.
Back in Happiness Park, Deanna is still not convinced, insisting in the next episode that she didn't need help from anyone. But everything changes in episode 9, which, according to the USDA production script, was written to overcome the barrier of pride.
Bueno. Hello? Yes? What? But
What happened? What happened?
Diana's crying. She's at the hospital.
Thankfully, Deanna survives.
I thought it was a heart attack.
What?
Yes, I felt horrible, but the doctor told me that it was indigestion.
Indigestion?
The doctor scolded me and told me I need to lose weight. He said I need to eat healthier foods like fruits and vegetables. I should have listened to you. What's the program called?
It's called SNAP. By the last episode, Deanna signs up. Of course, she doesn't know that, contrary to the radio novella suggestion that food stamps will help her lose weight, the USDA's own research actually shows a correlation between SNAP card use and obesity in non-elderly adult women, like Deanna.
We actually think unconditional efforts by the best food stamp president in American history to maximize dependency is terrible for the future of this country.
When the national food stamp binge became an issue in the 2012 presidential campaign, the radio novella series became a news story. An embarrassed USDA pulled the series from circulation. Undersecretary of Agriculture Kevin Concannon admitted, "Some of the content in these advertisements does not meet the standards of what I consider to be appropriate outreach." But it turns out Hispanics were not the only group targeted by the USDA's outreach squad.
Coming up, breaking down mountain pride in North Carolina. The USDA didn't back away from this effort. In fact, they gave it an award. A food stamp bust in Columbus, Ohio, just this week. Fox News reporting was there. These undercover state food stamp investigators say this store let them buy alcohol with food stamps.
State liquor agents, police officers.
The store was cited for illegal use of a food stamp card, though the clerk told us she thought she was selling the undercover officer an energy drink. Either way, in the great food stamp binge, we seem to be hearing these stories more and more. It's another reason why some people are puzzled that the USDA is trying so hard to get even more people to sign up for food stamps, whether they say they want them or not. One of those efforts was in North Carolina, where 17% of the people get food stamps, more than double the number a decade ago. Part of that increase, Peter Boyer found, is apparently efforts to break down mountain pride.
The music, one of the oldest art forms in America. Its mournful strains tell the story of a God-fearing people who have long lived in remote and unforgiving places like the vast Appalachian reaches of Ashe County, North Carolina.
This has not been an environment in which it's easy to get by.
Lee McMillan is a local businessman.
It's been tough times here.
What kind of folks did this land produce?
They were a fiercely independent bunch of people, and they believed strongly in self-reliance.
Lonnie Gabbard is a retired engineer.
They may do or do without.
For countless generations, the people of Ashe County made do by growing tobacco, raising cattle on small family ranches, and producing lumber from the vast forests that still surround them.
What did they do when hard times came?
My daddy got a job logging.
Dub Lewis is a retired sawmiller.
And he got $2.50 a day and board. He could have given up, but he didn't do that. This mountain pride took over.
We heard a lot in Ashe County about this thing called mountain pride, this deeply held belief that it's best to do for oneself. But as the federal government sees it, mountain pride is a problem. You see, the government tries to track how many people in an area are eligible for food stamps and how many have signed up for benefits. When a place like Ashe County stands out with an unexpectedly high number of residents refusing food stamps, a network of social service types, from local, state, and federal government, and nonprofits too, springs into action.
This money's out there. If you're not taking it, there's something wrong with you.
That's correct.
Jeff Sessions, Republican senator from Alabama, is angry that the government wants to coax people onto the food stamp rolls.
The idea that a person says, I don't want it, I don't need it, and then you feel it's your obligation to talk them into taking it, that makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. They think they should overcome mountain pride.
Here's what happened. A local social services worker, partly funded by a USDA grant, figured out that while folks here valued their self-reliance too much to actually accept government money for groceries, they would accept it to buy seeds they could plant in their gardens. That proved to be the opening everyone was looking for. In just a year, according to the government, food stamp participation jumped 10% in Ashe County, and that was just the beginning. Folks here eventually became more open to other forms of government aid as well. Social worker Brandy Legg's ingenuity earned her a trip to the annual American Association of SNAP Directors Convention in Columbus, Ohio, where she received the Gold Hunger Champions Award from the USDA. The citation applauded the very important strategy in counteracting what they described as mountain pride.
It makes me very angry, very angry.
Unbelievable. It seems to me it's in reverse. We should be getting an award for the people we get off the food stamps and find them a job.
At its deepest level, the motivation that drives a government to encourage people to take benefits they say they don't need. I think it's a difficult thing to understand.
The USDA, they declined to speak with us. They did send us this 39-page report, basically summing the USDA's mission. It seems to boil down on some level to put as many eligible Americans on the food stamp rolls as possible.
That is exactly the way they see their mission. They explain it in their documents.
Senator, this is a big government, spends a lot of money. A lot of it goes to prosperous people. Tax breaks for their vacation homes, or some folks out in Hollywood who buy those fancy electric cars get a lot of help from the government. So what's wrong exactly with needy folks, poor folks, getting their share of government cheese?
There's nothing wrong with the poor people who need help getting help.
We have always helped those that needed help. It's been through the churches, it's been through organizations.
If it all falls through the cracks and these people cannot get food and they need it to feed their children, I think that the government should help them. If you just give them money, and if it's just a question of money and benefits, then you can diminish and dull their incentive to work and achieve and to rise above difficult circumstances. So I think there's a real moral question here.
What would the consequence be if mountain pride were broken?
Well, it's showing up in the workforce. I know one particular sawmill that has 2 mills and he can't run one because he can't get enough help.
Even these days?
Even these days. Restaurants are having problems in town getting waitresses. People are just becoming used to getting something for nothing.
If you had one brief message to deliver to President Obama, what would you say?
I would say that for those of us who still possess that mountain pride, leave us alone.
Coming up, the unintended consequences of government welfare. Are we unlearning the lessons of our past? Might this California 29-year-old be Exhibit A? And get on Twitter during the break. Tell us what you think. Use the hashtag Fox News Reporting.